So we left the last session, literally a ghost of the dead Blanche appeared and screamed into your faces. I have put a picture of the Blanche into the carrot keeper and the note on top of there. But how did you guys react at this ghost appearing, stealing the heat from the air, and screaming and pointing at Lee and referring to him as being a red name in the blacklist?
I think Richie just drank the rest of the bottle and then went back for some more.
Yeah,
Ghost.
I think.
No, go on, Darian.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I think Lee was a bit freaked out by the whole thing. I think he's probably been left fairly speechless by the whole thing. I mean, there's weird stuff, but this is like really weird stuff.
Yeah, I think
I'm not quite sure what to make of it.
I think it was a couple more hours of knocking back whiskey and Richie just rambling on about weird shit that he's seen, and like Lee's just like,
So, yeah, the murdered girl disappeared like an apparition into the night as quickly as she'd appeared, but she left both of you shaken and shocked in a way that normally the dead don't come back, and the dead certainly don't point fingers. So the following day, unless you have anything else you want to establish, we'll say time will pass on and you will arise the following evening, day, as you see fit. And I'd certainly like to potentially pick up with Lee and wherever he lays his hat for an evening. So can you describe where Lee sleeps?
Sure thing. So I think tonight he will have made an effort to actually get indoors somewhere, because I think even if the whiskey has dulled his reactions a little, he's still fairly shaken up by the whole Blanche situation. So I think he's spent the night in basically in a like a squat sort of an actual a house, maybe an apartment that's currently vacant, and he knows a few people who are staying there at the minute, and he's spent the night on their floor, sort of thing.
Who stays here in this place?
Yeah, so I think it's a couple of I think it's a couple of street queens, sort of drag queens who sort of operate around the Hollywood Sunset Strip area. I think their names are Peaches and Peaches and Dolly.
Excellent. Let's add those into mortality. So, I think when Lee awakes, your head is sore. Lee, God knows how much you drank last night, but it still doesn't seem to have drowned that image out of your mind. You can feel even now the way that the temperature drops out of the air, and ice has formed on the outside of the bottle. It was quite disconcerting. When you awake and start brushing yourself down, you notice that Dolly has got a rather impressive fat lip and a shiner black eye.
Ah, shit, Dolly, who did this to you?
It's just don't stop the big brother things with me, Lee. It's just a trick that went wrong. I still got paid. It's okay. Peaches seems less convinced it's okay.
Look, just let me know who it was. I'm not going to do anything right now, but just I want to keep my eye out in case they come back. You know, I ain't going to hunt them down.
Dolly sort of like sucks in some air through her teeth and says, "It's the prettiest damn guy you ever did see. He was dressed to the nines like some damn Fred Astaire nonsense. He took shine to Peaches. Peaches weren't too interested. I weren't too interested. There was something wrong about him. He smelt funny. He made the hairs on my arms go up, and I ain't got many hairs on my arms. I pride myself on it."
Sounds like your instincts were serving you right, so let me know if he comes back and bothers you again. But hey, do you remember there was that girl got burned up in a car a little while back? I don't suppose you remember anything about her?
But that girl, she was all set to be Hollywood star, wasn't she? We saw her around some of the clubs. She was usually on someone to do's arm. Occasionally, they brought us to one of our clubs. But she tended to travel with the actor set, but the queer ones.
Well, thank you, girls, and thank you for letting me crash here tonight. I'm gonna. Well, I'll hit the road now, but thanks again, both.
On the way out, Dolly grabs your arm away from Peaches and says, "Lee, I think this is not the first time this guy has hit someone. I think he likes people too much, and I think if he doesn't get his own way, he's dangerous. I don't like asking you to do things like this, Lee, but I don't think it's safe out there right now. Maybe you could do whatever it is you do."
I'll make sure to. I'll keep an eye out on things this evening and make sure that. Yeah, I'll try and keep people safe tonight. You know, I can't work miracles, but I'll see what I can do.
I owe you for this, so you can take a debt over Dolly if you'd like. And we'll close that scene down. Welcome, Pearl. Yeah, it's uncharacteristically warm in the UK as well. And we're not built for heat. It's terrible. Well, I'm going to give the same question to you. Where does Richie wake up? Because it ain't where he was hoping to be.
Where does Richie wake up that isn't where he was hoping to be? So he doesn't wake up in his own bed, safe and sound. Richie wakes up in an alleyway behind a bar, nursing the last dregs of another bottle of whiskey. I think the last thing that he remembers is playing some back alley poker, some backroom poker in one of the bars.
When you just stand yourself up and brush yourself down, can't have been too bad of a night because you've ended the evening with $30 in your wallet. You went out with 3 and a card to a club.
Which club?
It's got a symbol of a ankh on it, and you sort of see it and feel it and hold it, and it puts a feeling of power on you. Don't know the name, but you got a symbol.
Right. I take a look at this interesting object, and I reach out with my 6 senses, and I will roll with spirit to use my psychometry move. And that is a 10. So I get to ask 3. I get to ask, what is the history of this object? Which I would maybe put as in like a vision of of how this card ended up in my hand.
Sure.
And the other question I would ask is, where does this object belong? Which is, Richie's probably hoping that would lead it. Which club does this belong to? Like, where would I find it?
You have a flashback to a table in the club after hours. You were playing with some of the musicians and a couple of other people who you can't quite see from this angle. You were losing bad, and then you get in a situation where you can't pay. It's starting to look like bad things are going to happen until Gregory Peck stands up and says, "I'll settle his debts." He does that, putting about $200 on the table and putting some money into your pocket, and say, "You need to get yourself a cab home, kid." And he gives you the card and says, "Come find me when you're ready. I could always use someone like you. You can pay the debt off if you like."
Okay.
And as for where it belongs, up in the West Hollywood Hills, you can see an Art Deco building looking down and out over the Hollywood valleys. Leading up to, beyond it, a pyramid-shaped building.
Interesting. There's a very Egyptian theme going on in 1950s LA.
There was surprisingly a lot of Egyptian architecture in 1950s LA.
Yeah. No, I assume everything's based upon a real thing that you've read.
I see.
Christ. Americans and their architecture. Cool. Well, Richie will wince at the sunlight and dust himself off, take a look at the bottle, and then throw the remains into the back of the alleyway and stagger off to go get himself cleaned up and maybe go pay a visit to Gregory Peck.
Okay. And for the one character that it didn't turn out to be a dangerous and bad nightfall was was Rose West. So hi, Pill. How did Rose's evening end, and where did she start the following evening? Because presumably not the following day.
If I recall correctly, she was in the bar and had been attempting to strike up a conversation, or I guess sort of did have a conversation with Ruby Chance, but Ruby was not very forthcoming or cooperative in terms of revealing even the most mundane information, because that's Ruby. She's a tough one to crack. But I had previously been having drinks with Gregory Peck, and he or someone else crafty had managed to put was it a holding spell?
Yeah, something that bound
Binding spell?
Yeah, it was a binding spell specifically designed for Ruby.
Yes. But it got knocked over, luckily. And as exits were being made, we also discovered that a symbol had been carved into the table that I think was in Hebrew. And I forget what it said. I am sorry. I knew at one point.
I can't remember either. It was something along the lines of bound or bind, and those sort of words.
Chained.
Chained. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you.
Hooray for Will taking notes. Well done, Will. This is what happens if you have 2 weeks between games. Yeah. And you were going to go elsewhere with Ruby, but as Ruby isn't in play this evening, how did your evening end?
I think that I was a bit unnerved and irritated after the evening's shenanigans. So I called bother. I know things, or I did last night when I was reviewing them. The name, is it Mags? Maggie? Yes.
Maggie.
I called Mags and told her that I really could use a snack. So I went back to my posh Hollywood apartment, and Mags, as always, came through. And there was a very enthusiastic young fan who was particularly delicious. But given his enthusiasm, I decided to let him go after just the snack. I didn't actually full on eat him, which I could have, and sometimes I do, even with the fans. But in this particular instance, I was feeling benevolent. But I took enough of a snack that today I'm fully stocked up with delightful sun-repelling human blood, and I'm ready to head out into the world.
Good. Okay. Anywhere you specifically want to go? Otherwise, I can give you somewhere and someone who would like to see you.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Should I mention who my character is at all, or are we assuming that people sort of know, or did you tell them before?
We just did that before. Should be a follow on, but because people didn't, because we weren't all here and we haven't pulled the start move to the session, we have managed to do some establishing, but we will now probably just take a moment to do the start move of the session as we've set some scenes. The person who wants to see you before we do that, by the way, is the current Black Widow, and there's a picture of her in the night.
Oh dear.
Night part of the character keeper. So, what we did forgot to abandon the first recording, was the start of session move. Each character points at another character that is the one that they think and trust less, and they rival a spotlight. Another, sorry, they arrive. Sorry, try that again. They spotlight a faction for your character that you might get into trouble with by spreading a rumor about them. So both Richie and Lee said out of the characters in play that they trust Rose least at the moment. But Rose, out of Richie and Lee, which of those two characters does Rose trust least right now?
At the moment, I think it is probably Lee. Even though I remain somewhat fond of him, he did bungle that job with the stalker. And we haven't really had that much contact since for him to make it up to me. And, you know, I'd like to think he didn't do it on purpose, but with everything that's been going on lately with disappearances and seemingly spontaneous combustions and things, it just, you know, you don't know who to trust anymore. And so, yeah, I think just like for him to show that he's still a loyal friend before I put all my faith in him.
Okay. So, which then faction Lee, as Rose trusts you least, which faction do you want to highlight for Rose? Do take a look at the factions that you've highlighted on your characters so far. Rose hasn't got any, so it doesn't matter too much. But what we're asking Lee and David to do now is to tell the MC about a rumor or conflict they've heard about that faction, building on previous information, characters, clocks, threats, and the like.
Right. Sorry. I think I'm going to mark mortality for Rose, and I think so. I'm just checking back over our notes from last time. Yeah, I think we discussed last time. I think that there is there's a rumor going around that there was a kind of a new like firebrand preacher in town who's been potentially stirring up trouble. And I think the rumor that that Rose hears is that this preacher apparently has some sway over the mayor. They've been seen together recently, and it's believed that he's going to try and use his influence over the mayor to get some sort of moral crusade kicked off.
LA is a good city. So Rose, that means you're going to roll a flat roll, no modifiers, to see. That's not true. Actually, you use your stat in the faction, which is 1. So you're going to get a +1 to this roll.
Okay.
Just figure out how well things go for you.
All right. One moment. Bother. I just did something stupid, but the party roll page, I did the wrong copying. But I am almost done fixing that. Sorry, I'm a bit not myself this morning. But okay, 2d6s. So I got a 7 with the faction.
So you're neck deep in it with this faction, so we can expect the preacher and the mayor to catch up with you and your self soon. But you owe someone in that faction a debt, and someone in that faction owes a debt to you. So within mortality, we've got Maggie, Peaches, Dolly. We've also now got the mayor and the preacher. David, do you want to name the preacher?
Sure. The preacher is Pastor Victor. I had a surname and then lost it again.
Whilst Dave is thinking that, Mr. Right, cool. Will you like to name the mayor?
The mayor is Joe Harvey.
Joe Harvey. So, Rose, who out of our in-play characters has got a debt over you, and who are you holding a debt over?
The only person that I have a debt to is Maggie, Mags, my manager. I owe 2 debts to her for helping keep me fed. She's always so good about. Lovely. So hard to find good help these days, and also resist eating them. Richie owes me 2 debts because I help him interpret his visions. Lee owes me 2 debts because of the whole stalker situation. And Mr. Nobody owes me 1 debt because he's responsible for making me a vampire.
Cool. Okay. The effect of a session intro movies on a 7 till 9. Someone now will hold a debt over you, but you will hold a debt over someone else in that same faction. So the people we've established are in that faction is Maggie, so you can hold another debt over her, or she could hold one over you. Peaches and Dolly, who are the drag queens who sometimes give Lee cover, and then Mayor Joe Harvey, who is the mayor of Central A, and the preacher, Pastor Victor Bright. So, as a result of that role, someone gets to hold a debt over you, and you get to hold one over them.
Over just everyone, or the NPCs only?
The NPCs is no. It's out of the mortality faction.
Oh right, sorry.
So is the way it works that Maggie would essentially cancel one of her debts out if she took one over Rose? Is that how it works?
Yeah, she could claim one back from Rose if she wanted to. She could cancel one off Rose. Okay. She could take one onto, she could have, even though the preachers wants to go after someone, she may already have a debt on the mayor.
I'm going to say, debts held. Is debts held where you put who owes you? Or
you can put the debt on your sheet for who owes you a debt.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say
and then
that
update the NPC.
That the preacher owes me a debt.
Okay.
And that I owe a debt to either Peaches or Dolly. I don't really know their personalities, but I like the idea of interacting with them. So,
sorry.
Could you spare a couple of minutes to talk about the hedge?
Right, I'm sorry, folks. I'll be back for you in 2 minutes. I've just been dragged away. Karen needs my help for something a second.
No problem.
So I think we'll be going through this for.
Yeah, if you want to go through this without me, just for 2 minutes, folks, feel free to do that. I'll be back as quickly as I can.
No worries. And then I think we've got, so me and Lee both said Rose was our least trusted character. So it would make sense to me to choose the same fact, like rather than having to choose two factions and two things and do all this all over again. It could be the same one, right? And I think I've got night marked and Lee's got power marked. So that would make it probably wild or mortality. Does that make sense? I'm a bit struggling with the starting move, to be honest. You're muted, Paul.
So much like David Lee just shifted or just named a faction for me, I would name ones for both of you.
Yeah. And
okay.
You could do two, I guess, but I mean, it seems to make sense to me to just do one and, simplify things.
Sure. I'm going to say that shift up Lee's I'm always bad at which things or which factions have which things in them.
Wild is fae and demons, and
night is vamps and
werewolves. Power is wizards
oracles.
And mystics. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say wild goes up and power goes down.
Do they move? I thought it was just we mark
them. Or is
them.
it just you mark them?
Yeah, so just mark it. Yeah, that's.
What does that do again?
You level up when you mark all four of them.
Oh, that's right. Okay, sorry. Urban Shadows is still a bit new to me.
Moderately new for me as well. I've only played it once before.
Yeah, I'm concurrently playing another one, but with like a very, very different setting, and we're not using a lot of these mechanics as much for various reasons. So I apologize. I'm trying to remember everything, but there are a lot of different things to keep track of. So I guess Mark Wild.
Yep.
Cool. Yep.
And for Richie,
I suppose so you tell the rumor or conflict you've heard about that faction.
Oh yeah.
And then I roll with the faction. So yeah. Sorry.
I should do that for Lee first, right?
Yeah.
The rumor.
Yeah.
Okay. And I did power. Yes.
Wild, I think you said.
Oh right, you already had power.
Power, I already had marked. Yep.
So there's a rumor that quite a while ago now, Lee made a deal with someone from the Fae, and it wasn't clear what the time frame was in which he had to uphold his end of the deal. But there's a rumor that said Fae character, who I think it's okay if we don't know, like maybe obviously you would know, Lee, but because it's a rumor, maybe we don't know what Fae it is, but there is a Fae out there to whom you had agreed to do this thing. You had made a bargain or made a promise, who has gotten to the point where they feel like you've taken too long and are not fulfilling said thing and are possibly going to show up to collect and or pass out some retribution or whatever the Fae do in those circumstances.
Cool. Yeah,
rumors.
That's nice.
Let's hope it's just a rumor. That would be terrible. And for Richie, I'm going to mark power.
Okay.
And I think the rumor there is that there is already some sort of spell or hex on Richie from a wizard or sorcerer or whatever the thing is, and that no one is sure what that is, or whether it's already in play or whether it might be triggered by something. But that it has been placed on him and could be unpredictable in its effects. So I think possibly some people, those with less hearty constitutions or less courage, might avoid him sometimes because they wouldn't want to be affected if said spell involved like exploding or something. Okay. I don't, maybe almost nobody does because hexes usually only affect one person. I think I'd like to let
So when
maybe,
the rumors, because when it says rumor, I imagine that like it can just be a rumor, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be true, but obviously people could think that it's true.
Right, which is why I threw in that people might be nervous around you, because it's just a rumor as far as any of us know. I mean, I think even you, like, you might not know if it's true or not, because the rumor is that like someone overheard that it had happened.
Weird shit just follows me around. So who could even tell if I was hexed or not, right? Like, it would certainly explain some things.
So yeah, nobody knows what the spell is or who cast it, but there's a rumor that somebody did, and I will leave it up to our masterful GM to decide how our NPCs react to that, whether it's a big deal or not.
Well then, I will. Should we roll our, or should we just? Well, we'll let David sit back down and tell us where we're going, and then we can roll our. Me and Lee can roll our things.
Roll.
I
trust you.
Okay. I get a 9. So on my starting move, that means I'm neck deep in it. I owe someone in that faction a debt, and someone in that faction owes a debt to you. So I will power. We've only got Gregory Peck, and I will say that I owe Greg Peck a debt for bailing me out of the poker game last night.
Awesome.
And I guess since Gregory Peck is the only power NPC that we have.
Unless you want to make one up.
Yeah. I will say, let me just go back to fancy name generator. Virginia Mills, who is a sort of a novice mystic, owes me a debt because she came to me to use my sight on a artifact that she sourced to tell me, so I could tell her whether or not it was the real deal or just a gewgaw. And my psychometry, told her that she was getting ripped off by this guy. So just to recap for you, David, the two rumors that we established, so Rose, Pearl, sorry, Pearl, not Rose. I won't refer to characters when I'm referring to the players. Pearl marked wild for Lee, and the rumor is that there is a Fae. Lee once made a bargain with someone from the Fae, and the Fae is looking to call in his marker at some point soon. And the rumor for Richie was that the rumors going around town that there's already that somebody has put a spell or a hex on Richie, and people are cautious about whether they might get drawn into it. But whether or not either of those things are true is yet to be decided.
Yeah, my idea with that was that you could decide with the NPCs whether they believe the rumor or not, and like whether it's widespread enough that it's most people, or it's just like a few people, or just one faction. I figure I will leave that bit of narrative control out of my own hands, but that's definitely the rumor, and it could potentially scare some people off if you wanted to. And could or could not be true.
And I rolled an 11 on my start to session move.
That means you've got a debt on someone in that faction, or a useful piece of information or equipment of your choice. So
Ooh.
Lee's starting off strong, and Richie is, of course, acquiring yet another debt. Out of general curiosity, these starting moves, the rumors and the conflicts that they talk about, can they be broad, or are they always related to the characters that we're talking about? Could it be like there's a gang war in between the demons or something, versus like a player character is involved in some way? That's more of an abstract question for maybe next session.
I'm talking away and I'm still muted. No one give me the mute signal. Yeah, I'm very happy to have broader threads because it will play into the clocks. What I'm generally doing, as you're saying this, is I'm updating equivalent one of the threat clocks because it should always have a consequence to what's going on in the city. So one of the threat spots that was going to come in today, I'm already going to update. So yeah, feel free to be broad. I think the city feels already relatively populous, but if there's something that we feel as an NPC that is missing, we can do that. Some of the factions are a bit empty. So, David, how do you want to take that big bit of good news in your way?
Yeah. So I think. I think actually that's what I'll because because I got the on the 10 up. I think that does let me. Oh, sorry, just get this. Yeah. So I think I've got a useful piece of. I think I've got a useful piece of information, and I think basically, I think the deal that I had with this Fae was to find something out, and I think that I have now found that information out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the Fae that I had a deal with was called Nightshade, and they. What had they asked me for? I think that they had asked me to. I think they'd asked me to find out who owned a particular piece of land, maybe a little bit outside of Hollywood proper, out into sort of the like the orange groves and whatnot outside the city. And I think that I have discovered that it is in fact the mayor who owns that particular piece of land, though possibly through a cutout of some variety.
The mayor's into all sorts of dodgy stuff all of a sudden. Okay. Good. Right. So let's pick back up. So I'm gonna cut across to Pearl and to Rose at the moment. So Rose, yeah, as I say, it was the Black Widow that wants to see you. More worryingly, there is also a request from that is delivered by Black Raven with the note on its tied to its foot that proclaims that your covenant of vampires must meet to discuss the death of the Pablora elder and the struggles within the vampire families.
That is worrisome. I will, in accordance, not snack on the raven. Feels like it would put things off to a bad start. Is there? I assume there's a time for this meeting.
Yeah, they haven't fed as much as you, so it will be sundown this evening, allowing you to act during the day.
Okay.
Whilst the Black Widow has invited you for high tea, so you'll see her early afternoon.
All right. Is it early afternoon now, or are we in the morning?
Yeah,
or-
we can say it's early afternoon. Yeah.
All right. So I'll go pay her a visit.
Okay.
Generally, not good to disobey.
She owns a series of houses nearby, which have all been built probably in the last 10, 15 years. They're about 20-minute drive from downtown. But it's clear that this area of the city is under her control. The house is white picketed with roses outside, but as you step inside, all the windows are covered with black lace, and the house is lit by candlelight. And this light, but very fearful or fearsome looking young Asian woman who is is definitely probably around 300 or 400 years old, welcomes you to the house. My dear, welcome. Come on in. It is so good that you managed to get here early.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm looking forward to our tea.
She sits down a bowl of ice, chipped ice comes in it, and in it are small little teacups, each of them filled with blood. Your senses are strong enough to feel that they have come from various different hosts. It's more like a little taster palette of various things. She takes one of them, says, "It's always good when your clients leave a little something behind. May I tempt you? Perhaps with a New Yorker, or maybe someone from the Midwest. An adulterous husband. What would be your flavor?"
The first sounds lovely.
Okay.
I'm wondering if I can use a move here.
What would you like to try and do?
I was thinking I might want to try to sense whether there's any magical properties to the blood before imbibing.
You could do two things here. You can try to investigate a place of power because you're clearly in the Black Widow's heart of her web, or you could figure someone out if you're trying to figure out if she's trying to do anything odd to you.
Okay. Let me see. Figure someone out, or just investigate
a place of power.
Okay. And she's night?
She's night.
So it looks
vampire
like
as well.
Either way, I have the same roll.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to figure someone out.
Okay. Should I roll with mind?
Okay. There. Reroll selected. So that's a 9.
Cool. So you can pick 2 from the list. You can either create an opportunity, expose a weakness or flaw, confuse them for some time, or you can try to avoid further entanglement.
I think those are for
Oh, sorry.
mislead distractors.
Don't. I'm reading the wrong list completely. Sorry.
So we put a hold on each other.
Yeah.
And then I ask them a question, not
Yeah. But I've got the
oh,
open
it's
to
their
ask one.
player, right? Okay.
Mhm.
If I'm in their faction, ask an additional question, even on a miss.
Yeah.
So
You can
I
ask
get
them
two
two
questions.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm thinking. I'll start with, what's your character hoping to get from me?
She's looking to extend your services to get her something that she wants.
Okay. And how could I put your character in my debt? Or is that obvious because it would be by doing the service?
It would be doing by the service, so I'll let you
Okay.
hold that question. You don't have to spend them both now. You've got the hold, so you can use it in the conversation.
I think I still want to use one now because I'm still trying to decide whether to
Sure.
drink the blood, because if it has something in it that would make me like obey her will, I would not want that. So I suppose I can always ask other questions in conversation. She might lie, but whatever. What's your character's beef with me? I don't even know if she has one,
she
but
doesn't have a beef with you, but has chosen you specifically.
all right. Okay. So my options were some fresh young thing from New York, or a Midwestern adulterer.
So someone Midwestern out of town, or an LA adulterer. You had three choices.
No bother. So I'll take the first. You said it was sort of tiny teacups with a tasting, so I'll probably end up drinking all of them. But I would like to start with the first. And with my thanks, of course. I know, it's been a while since I've shared such a lovely spread with someone else who understands a taste for the finer things.
It's delightful. It has a strong taste of fear and desperation. You can almost, as you're tasting it, feel the concrete sloshing around the person's feet as they are made part of one of LA's newest freeways.
Well, that's too bad for them. But still tasty. And I'll just sip at that while waiting to hear what she would like to say.
So, my dear, I hear you were at the Cairo last night. There was a bit of a scene there. A young chap got himself into trouble by laying his hands onto one of Obi Summers' girls.
My impression is that was actually more of a sort of bumbling mistake than an intentional manhandling. But if you've heard distinctly otherwise, that is a bit troubling.
It's neither here nor there. I've heard of this little tidbit before, and, well, you see, I want him. I have a need for him.
For the things that we usually need people for, or is there something else?
Oh, the usual things. I dream of him sometimes, and I wish for him so much to come and visit me. He did when he first came to town. I'm sure that you must get things are changing in the city, and my stars and ascendants within the court, I could make things very good for you, Rose. There are so many little people who owe me small favors. You could star in anything you wanted. And all you have to do is get me that little boy. If you were to do that for me, I would be so in your debt.
It's lovely for you to think of me, and offer me such an enticing deal. I do happen to consider him a friend, though, and if he were to come to great harm, it would be quite distressing to me. If you would like a little bit of a snack, I might be able to bring him along for another tea sometime. But I don't know that sending him straight to you without some sort of guarantee that he will come back out afterwards. It just feels like it would be unkind of me to a friend.
I promise you I will keep him safe forever. He'll never go out again, though.
He'll never go out again, but...
Those are the terms of the agreement. I want him. If you don't get him for me, someone else will get him for me. I want him.
I don't suppose the never going out thing is negotiable in any way. Perhaps I can offer some other service so that he might be able to venture out now and again. You could keep him forever, but perhaps let him have a bit of autonomy. I would like to be able to still visit, get a coffee,
Oh, you can visit him, certainly. Perhaps when he's come to love me unconditionally, then maybe he could be allowed out to play. My heart beats for him. I want him. Will you get him for me?
When he's come to love you completely, is it? Well, I suppose, I would hate to refuse you. Obviously, you're a very important person in our circles, and I appreciate you coming to me when, like I said, with such an offer. May I have just a day to think about it and return to you tomorrow. It's a rather large undertaking and does involve someone that, I have not snacked on him myself. That's how much I consider him a friend. So if I could just take a little bit of time to sort of take in this request, which I was not expecting, I would be happy to pay you a return tomorrow afternoon and finalize any.
Sounds like to me that you're trying to persuade an NPC. So let's
probably
do
am,
that.
yes.
You're trying to roll with heart.
I imagine I don't have much. Let's see. Oh, I do have a bit. All right. Nice surprise. I got 12.
On hit, they do what you ask. She sips her small little cup of tea and looks and says, "As it's you, I'll give you till the morning. Till tomorrow evening to make your decision. After that, I'm afraid I will need to ask someone else."
Of course, I understand that with these cravings,
Mr.
time is of the essence.
Perhaps Ruby Chance or Mr. Nobody would be.
Well, I don't. You don't need to think about alternates quite yet. I of course would like to be able to help you if I can. I just need a bit of time. I appreciate very much your graciousness in allowing me to have this amount of time. And I will absolutely return by tomorrow evening, and hopefully I will be able to find it in myself to just say yes outright. But I think taking a bit of time to get used to the idea will put me more at ease with it. If I'm sure you understand.
I do. Don't get attached to them.
I know. I try so hard not to, but it's the bumbling ones, you know. It's just like, oh, bless their hearts. I find them entertaining and sometimes sweet, and I try.
I understand, but I saw him first.
Oh, I wasn't aware that you were of long acquaintance. All right. Well, I will be back by tomorrow evening. I would love to finish our tea and just have some chats. I mean, you've brought out such a lovely flight, and your hospitality is, you know, renowned throughout the night. So yeah,
Cool.
you know, lovely.
Excellent. We'll call the scene on that. And Richie and Lee, are you still separate peeps at this present moment in time? Otherwise, I will paint a scene with one of you.
Yeah. Feel free.
Cool. So I will paint a scene, I think, with Lee at this point. We'll put it forward slightly and then towards. Well, was Lee doing anything in the day, David? Or was he just taking some time?
So I'm just thinking if he. I think during the day he might have tried to find out some more information about Blanche. I think, you know, more just in the case of sort of going around to a few different, you know, like sort of places, you know, a couple of the diners, cafes, bars, whatever that kind of the Hollywood types hang around, and just asking around about her. See if I can get a little more information.
It sounds like you're trying to put a face to the name to me.
Yeah, certainly. That is a.
You're rolling with their faction. Her faction now is actually Night.
Night, sure thing.
She's a spectre.
That's an 8 in total.
So, to track her down, you're going to be interacting again with Knight as a faction at this point. But yeah, the fact that she was a ghost, I suppose, is the thing that's striking you. Are you going back to where you found her? Are you looking for someone who can tell you about ghosts? Are you looking for another ghost? What do you think is the most likely course of action?
I think that that I will find somebody who knows about ghosts. I think it's probably the like the groundskeeper at the Hollywood Forever cemetery.
Yes, that seems fine. He's an aging black man with a shock of well cut white hair, big sinewy muscles. He's dug enough graves in his time. Even now, he doesn't do that. He's got the boys to do it for him. But he will normally be found in the little office that's on the grounds. He's got a great jazz record collection, early African blues and African American blues, and plays that, and is known to like Irish coffee. So when you arrive, it's a hot city day. He's got an electric fan blowing. He's in his vest and he's looking at you. So on a 7 to 9, you know that he's usually willing to trade information for a new song or a future favor.
Sure thing. So yeah, I think he'll go knock on the office door.
He says, "Come in," and the door handle lifts and creaks and opens for you. You can see your breath as you breathe, as if cold air was in front of you, even though it's hot as that happens. Shiver down your spine.
Good afternoon, sir. I've come here to ask a favor of you. I've recently had a run-in with someone I think you might lie within your area of expertise.
Uh-huh. Did you kill him?
No, sir. But I saw an apparition, I suppose you'd say, a ghost, a specter, however you want to call it, last night. You hear about that young actress got herself burned up in a car the other week.
Oh yeah, she was from Cincinnati originally. Parents couldn't afford to take her home, so we buried her down with the paupers. But she inhaled. She's safe. We buried her. It's a good Christian funeral.
Well, sir, I was hoping I might be able to learn a little more about her. As I say, she came to me last night, and well, I've never encountered nothing like that before.
So you didn't kill her?
No, sir.
Did you love her?
No, I didn't hear about her till she was on the front page of the newspapers.
Did she love you?
Not that I know of. I mean, I hang around I hang around the strip a fair amount. She may have seen me, I suppose, but I never had no cause to speak to her.
He pours himself a drink and pours one for you. He goes, "Well, that's mighty strange. Ghosts normally got things to say or do. Why is she picking on you, boy?"
Well, she said something kind of cryptic about a black book and how I was a name in it or something.
What exactly did she say? Exact words.
Best as I can remember, she said I was a red name in the black book. I can't say I know exactly what she was talking about.
Holy shit, boy. Who have you upset?
Well, I try not to ruffle too many feathers, but not always successfully. But I take it it's bad.
You need to get out of here. I can't help you. You need to go. You need to get.
Sure thing, sir. I'll. Well, thank you for your time anyway.
Cool. You're happy to go? Character doesn't want to put any moves on the NPC.
No, I think I will. I think I will leave at that point.
Okay. So on the close it out, he says, "You marked in the devil's book, boy."
Well, my mum and pop always did say that about me, sir.
I ain't joking about the devil, kid. Watch your back. Probably find that ghost. Mighty strange behavior.
Sure thing. Thank you, sir. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, well, if I'm still around and all.
Okay. Are you offering him a debt?
Yes, I think I will. I feel like he gave me enough information that I probably owe him one.
So this guy is probably mortality and unaware. I'll give him a name. Carl. And he's got one over. What was the graveyard called?
I think the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. It might actually be called that at this moment in time, but
That'll do, don't worry.
yeah.
Good. Okay. Lovely. So you're going to make a break from there. Let's cut across to Richie. Richie, will you go into the pyramid?
Yep. Having a quick shower and then fresh change of clothes and off to the pyramid.
How does Richie get there? Does he have his own car? Does he take a cab?
He's got a beat up old Cadillac.
You ride up the roads to the pyramid, and I suppose the what's the word I'm looking for? The grounds of the estate. What does it look like, and what's Richie thinking as he drives?
I think it's looking very, very prestigious and neat and tidy and surprisingly vibrant greenery in the face of this unending sweltering heat, where the rest of the city has got scorched brown grass. It seems like the verges here are still lush and wet, but there don't appear to be any hoses or anything running. And it just seems all very, very fancy and exclusive, and normally the kind of place that Richie would have to talk his way into rather than be invited.
You arrive at the gates. They're painted in a pearly white, and a man steps out. He's wearing a suit and a tie and a peak cap. He's got a badge on that says Michael, and he looks at you and says, "Can I help you, sir? Are you lost?"
Hi, Michael. I'm here to see a friend of mine. And he pulls out the card and says, real handsome looking fella.
He looks at the card and says, "Oh, yeah, I was told you might be coming. Well, sir, welcome to Arcadia." And the gates were open with motors, and you're allowed to drive up the gravelly path towards the front of the house. As anything you want to do as you're approaching?
No, I think Richie is just going to have his sunglasses on and pull up the car in the nearest spot and make his way into Arcadia. I am perhaps looking to do investigate a place of power at some point, but I figure that
Sure.
might be more appropriate. Well, I can roll it now, and then we can just see
No,
what.
I was just giving you the option to. It's fine at the moment. Actually, yeah, you probably because you're trying to see the reality underneath, I suppose. So yes, you can definitely. This would be appropriate as you feel its
Look.
power.
It's only a 5 anyways, so I get nothing out of that.
Okay. There is power here, and it's as you try to sort of figure out as you extend your own senses, you can see a flood of images, some new, some old, some ancient. There are things here of power important, and some of them are way old, and it is slightly distracting. You can't quite get them out of your head at this present moment in time. Things in this place are speaking to you. Not in languages you can understand, but they've all got stories to tell.
Some surprisingly authentic ancient Egyptian coming through for what's clearly a replica.
As you arrive, Gregory Peck comes out. He is wearing nice slacks and a shirt, and he's got his jumper tied over his shoulder. He goes, Richie, you made it out. Well done. Glad you could see. Did you sleep somewhere nice?
Oh yeah, it was real nice. Had the windows open, nice bit of fresh air. My friend Jack keeping me company. Now, you said you wanted to see me, Mr. Peck.
He goes, yeah. I heard you do card tricks, Richie.
Well, it's among my many talents. Yeah.
I'm looking for an entertainer.
Well, I'm told I can be real entertaining.
Quite specifically, you do you know and have you had anything to do with Ruby Chance or her employer?
I know Ruby. Yeah. She's I wouldn't call her a friend, but certainly a beneficial acquaintance, you might say. There is a certain dark lady in this town who is looking to get her fangs into me, and Ruby is, well, her and her employer are standing between me and this bereaved bitch, if you'll pardon my French.
You been making friends?
I just can't help it. Everywhere I go, I make friends.
So the thing is that I think you're good at doing card tricks and potentially making little things disappear.
Yeah?
As I got you out of that trouble with the cards, maybe you could do me a little favor.
Little. Yeah, sure.
I know you said Mr. Nobody's doing you a favor, but nobody's got something that I want to see.
Right. Now, just gonna stop you there. Taking something from Mr. Nobody is not what I would call a little favor. Or even from Ruby, for that matter.
He looks at you and takes you into the house, pours you and fixes you a drink. What's your poison, Richie?
You know what? I'll have a screwdriver.
He fixes you one and says, I assume you wanted the drink. Not like the screwdriver to the back of the head you would have got for not paying your card debts with the Mexicans.
Well, then I was young. I could have paid them back. Who knows how the cards might go?
I need you to I need you then, if not to take it for me, to find out from chance or nobody where they hide the blacklist.
The blacklist.
He takes a sip and looks at your tone and says, you know about it?
I've heard a rumor.
What have you heard, kid?
I heard, let me just look up the vision. Well, I heard something about a friend of mine's name being on this list. Friend of Ruby's too, actually.
Take your friend for a nice dinner. I'll get you a reservation wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
Say your goodbyes.
Is that kind of list?
Your friend must have mightily pissed somebody off to be on that list.
Well, he's a good kid, but being good doesn't make friends in this town.
Friend of Big Shot? Knows what's going on? Well connected?
I mean, he's got people's back and they've got his, but well connected. I don't think you could say that, really. Certainly not anything like the juice that you're pulling.
That ain't that a mystery?
Yeah, I mean, listen. I know there's something bad coming for this kid, and I want to stop it now. This favor I'd do for you, getting this blacklist. What is it? You tell me what this thing is beyond just a spooky list because I'll be honest with you, I'm going to level with you, Peck. There's way too much spooky shit going on in this town already, and it's always floating around me.
I'm going to offer you the opportunity to figure someone out or persuade an NPC at this point.
Okie dokie.
Either will probably be appropriate, and I can't decide. Depends on what your ultimate effect is you want to get.
Let me just have a quick look at the moves. Who's pulling your character's strength? So I'd be persuading an NPC to tell me, or I would be figuring someone out to just ask those questions, which could amount to the same thing. Yeah. And I have I'll tell you what, I will go with figure someone out because I have a +1 in that. Oh, that's only a 5 again. Great. That's 2 5s in a row. Lovely.
Peck looks at you and says,
oh, if I'm in their faction, I get to ask an additional question even on a miss. So I do get to ask one even because we're both in power.
You are, yeah.
All right.
So Gregory Peck, world-renowned wizard. Yeah, so you can ask him a question.
I know what he's hoping to get from me, but what is Peck hoping to get from the blacklist?
He wants to stop names going on the blacklist.
He wants to stop names going on the blacklist. Okay. Now, I think that would convince Richie that you know, even if Peck's got his own reasons for it, from the sounds of things, he doesn't want. He wants to get Lee's name off that list as quickly as possible. If what Blanche said is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, if you give me that list, we'll stop anyone else's name getting on it, and we'll do everything we can to get your friend's name off it.
Well, all right, Peck. And then we're square, right?
He says, sure, kid. Until next time. You want another?
Yeah, I'll take one for the road. Real nice place here, I gotta say.
Yeah, we like it. We like it just fine. And I would suggest at the end of that scene we take 10 minutes, folks, and come back and give people a chance to probably, in some instances, come together as characters.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Hello, we are back. So, good news is every one of the clocks has gone on. Hooray. At least for me. So we find ourselves, and we'll pick up with our characters in the hot city after our short break. But where is everyone going to next? I'm going to pick up and shift to Lee at this time. Where was Lee going after his strange revelations?
Yeah. So Lee's plan after that was to hit the as it sort of starts to move into evening, basically to hit the strip, and he's going to try and hunt down this handsome, funny-smelling person who has been who attacked Peaches.
Okay. So how are you going to do that?
Yeah, I think actually probably by a combination of sort of asking around people he knows, and if they've seen this person, where they've seen them, get a better sort of description of what they look like, and then just kind of stalking the streets, essentially just looking for them, trying to hunt them down.
Sounds like you're hitting the streets to me, but it's also on your own territory, so you've got a move that supports that as well, don't you?
Yep. So I've got Bloodhound, which is when I hunt someone, roll with blood. I can find them. Or hit the street. I'm just wondering, hit the streets.
Is there anything else
I'm wondering if actually maybe hit the streets would make more sense in the first instance to find out who it is I'm looking for, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because at the minute I don't have much to go on, so
and I'm going to make a note of my own notes, but I forgot to do, and we have collectively forgot to do Richie and Lee's starter session moves. I'll make a note of that for doing next time. We'll come back to those in a minute. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's do a hit the streets.
Yeah, sure thing. So I think the person that I'm going to go to is it's probably going to be Wolf, actually. Because I figure he owns one of the bars on the strip, and he's likely to. He might have an idea of who this person is.
So roll with your faction. They're the same faction as you.
Yep. That's a 9 in total.
Okay. So on a 9 plus, you get to choose one.
I think Wolf has probably got some problems of his own going on at the minute.
Okay. So you make your way into the bar. It's one of the open secret queer bars in the area. What does it look like inside?
Yeah, so I think it's one of those kind of stuccoed sort of almost like Mexican-y style adobe bungalow thing, single story, but it's the the windows just have like shutters over them, which quite possibly don't open. And inside, it's quite it's quite gloomy. But there's lots of pictures on the wall of mostly of actual patrons of the bar, and most of the pictures taken from in the bar. I think probably it's a bit when I go, it's probably a bit early for there to be many patrons in here. They're still kind of opening up pretty much. There may be a few people in here sort of coming in for a drink sort of directly after work. But yeah.
And what one thing about Wolf reminds us that he's not human.
Yeah, so I think he's sort of wearing like one of those sort of leather waistcoat. Sounds too formal word, but yeah, it's one of those like leather vest sort of thing.
Yeah,
and I mean he's hairy, possibly not unusually hairy, but you see like his hands in particular, he's got kind of hair all along the back of his knuckles, and his nails are sharp, and they come to points rather than a flat nail. It's I think possibly as well his eyes just have that very. He's got. I think they're still human in shape, but they're just on the sort of the golden side of brown. They're just that sort of yellowish color.
Cool. He looks doesn't look up for you when he comes in. He just takes a deep sniff into the air and says, "To what do I owe the pleasure?"
It's I'm afraid it's I got to ask if you've seen somebody, Wolf. One of the girls got beat up by a John last night, and it's apparently not the first time he's done this.
He looks at you and says, "Are you a wolf or some sort of guard dog? Maybe you're a pretty bloodhound. Is that why you worry about this shit? Humans beating on humans for God's sake, man."
I don't know if he's. I don't know if he is human. That's the thing. Peaches, Dolly, they both said he was the most beautiful person they'd ever seen, and well, that's already setting off my hackles, if you know what I mean.
Smells like talcum powder, smile like neon, dresses like he's walked out of the deep south. Yeah, I know him. Your boy's a fae.
Shit.
One of the wild courts that own the gambling boats outside on international water.
I'm guessing he's got some powerful friends then.
Does that matter?
Well, I'll make a decision on that once I'm out of your door.
He's got appetites and he ain't picky. I know him. He's out of my pay grade. I'm just looks at the limp he has in his leg and the scars on his chest. I just ain't strong enough to do it anymore. You mess with him, you're gonna make enemies. Your little friend's worth it.
Well, for the time being, I may just see if I can have a word with him, make sure he understands
Ah!
what he's doing. But hey,
You're going to tell the fox to keep out of the chicken house?
hey,
Sit him down for a nice cup of tea?
well, I may give him the chance anyway.
You're a wolf, damn it. And you're as close as what we got down here to an alpha. Someone got to defend them. Next time it won't be a beating. Now, unless you're ordering a drink, get out of my bar.
Stay safe, Wolf. And he'll sort of nod and head out the door.
Cool. And what is the lovely Rose doing with the rest of her late afternoon, early evening, as she is fed so well?
Can I find Mr. Nobody if I want to, or is he just too mysterious?
Mr. Nobody can always be found. You've got a number. You just ring the operator and ask for Mr. Nobody.
So I think I would like to, I guess, call and then hopefully call upon Mr. Nobody.
Mr. Nobody will send you a car right around, miss.
Thank you. Very kind.
It is a fine beast of a big black car with blacked out windows that arrives about 10 minutes later. There is a glass window up where you can't see the driver, but you're allowed to get into the back seat. It is well equipped. And your favorite song is playing. What is?
Of course it is.
What is Rose's favorite song?
Let's see. We 1951, did we say?
Yeah.
I think we are in her favorite song is I think she has two depending on her moods because she's a bit mercurial. And so one is Cold Cold Heart, as sung by Tony Bennett. And the other one is I had one. Where did it go? It's No Sin by Eddie Howard.
Cool. Okay.
So I think for this one, we'll go with It's No Sin is playing.
Okay.
So
no problem. So you get in. The music is playing. I'm just going to add to the playlist for later on. As you were saying that, so the car drives, and you drive out to the edges of the city into the oil fields where the towers are pumping away. Until you approach a white wooden mansion, and the gates open as you approach. As they close, you're sure you've been up this road before, and you're sure this mansion wasn't there last time. It's really strange. You arrive at the door. It is opened by a manservant. He looks way too well-bred and sort of to be opening doors of the house as a servant, but he doesn't look at you. He puts his head down. You note there is a round symbol, almost like a snake eating itself, burned into his forehead. And then a butler comes out, and he's got the same mark on him. Their eyes look quite blank and lifeless. It says the master is in the house and is looking forward to seeing you.
Lovely. Would you mind taking me to wherever he receives guests?
What one thing especially makes you feel that this place is just too perfect and too staged?
I think everything is really symmetrical. Like the pictures, they're like paintings, and they're like exactly level and exactly well spaced. And they're like drapes that are like hanging at the exact same widths and have like the same number of folds on either, or of, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
on either side. Like
totally OCD,
everything
yeah.
is to a point that like would be almost impossible to maintain, given how many aspects of the room there are that are like that.
Well, I feel creeped out anyway, so yeah, that's fine. You come through, and there are two glasses of chilled white wine, exactly the equidistant apart from each other, filled exactly to the same position in the glasses. He puts his newspaper down, broadsheet, folds it as you come in. He looks at you and says, "Rose," and he smiles, teeth which are just, even when he's smiling, you get this feeling like there's a tiger in there looking at you and going, "How lovely to see you. What possibly can you want of me?"
Well, actually, I imagine you recall, it's been so very many years now, but since we've stayed in touch, I imagine you recall how I came to be the sort that would still be around hundreds of years after we first met.
He smiles and says, "I remember seeing you for the first time, and I remember the deal that was made for you to be turned. Of course, I remember all of the deals."
What was that deal? I don't think you've ever told me.
No, I haven't, have I?
No, which is why I'm asking.
You ain't gonna give that up easy. You're gonna have to figure him out or persuade an NPC. Demon overlords don't give away free fats.
Suppose not. I mean, he turned me into a vampire. I thought maybe we were on good terms. I don't know that it's important enough to me yet. I might pry into it if it becomes. All right. Well, you'd like to keep it to yourself.
So Master says, you live a good life. You've lived many lives. You haven't aged, and you were easily able to adapt to the proclivities of your kind.
It's true. I have had many lovely experiences, but you might recall that at the time I had a fiance, and I adored him very much. And when you turned me, that kind of nixed that relationship. Especially, you know how it is with new vampires, not that much control. And back then we hadn't really perfected the whole sunlight thing. And so, my main squeeze kind of, well, let's be frank, I ate him. So that was really quite traumatic, but, I've had good times since then. But I, out of character, this is me attempting to cash in his debt.
You wanted to use, you have a debt over him, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, anyway, this was brought to mind because someone has recently asked me to be involved in them doing the same thing to a friend of mine, but not only doing that, but possibly keeping him captive forever. And I just don't think that's what he would choose for himself. And unlike me, he wouldn't be able to go on to have a glamorous lifestyle. He would presumably be the prisoner of someone with a weird obsession forever. So I was just wondering, you have a lot of influence. If you could just help me find a way to either get out of this situation without earning the ire, or at least with some protection against the person who is asked, who's also a person of influence like yourself, or to maybe mitigate that request to at least allow him a bit of freedom. He's someone who I know we're not supposed to grow fond, but I have grown a bit fond. It happens. You know how it happens. And I'd really rather not sentence him to eternal servitude. But I fear that not just my career, but probably many things, including my life, would be at stake if I did not acquiesce to this request. Do you think you might be able to pull some strings?
He takes a sip out of the white wine glass and says, I do think the Californians are finally making better wines than the French. What do you think?
Well, to be honest with my schedule here, it's been a long time since I've been to France, and the wineries here send me plenty of wine so that people will see me drinking it, which is a bit silly because I really prefer blood, but I'm afraid I haven't gone out of my way in a while to sample the French, but I do notice the California wines have picked up some nuance, much like the difference between, a farmer and a hunter, say. But
so you asked me why you returned. It's so similar to this. I love her so. She must be mine. Her beauty must not fade. The story seems to travel so eloquently among your kind. Whom is it that is wanted, and whom is it that you want not to have?
Well, the person who's made the request is the indomitable Black Widow, and she seems to have taken an interest in my friend Richie, who is an oracle.
Ah,
I don't know if you're familiar with him.
never heard of him. I have heard of her.
I think we've all heard of her, haven't we?
I have someone that I can dispatch to deal with the matter. I'm sure we can ensure that your friend goes safely free.
Well, I appreciate so much your willingness to help in this matter. It's of great import to me.
It's a way of saying sorry for denying you true love. But of course, I did get you eternal life, which is better. Who can say?
Who can say? Either way, I really appreciate your kindness in this matter, and it sounds like it will be handled efficiently. But I feel like I should ask, just so I'm clear. He will retain his freedom. Do you think, as part of that, the ire of the Black Widow can be avoided, as far as my not having fulfilled her request? I wouldn't deign to ask you what the person you're dispatching would do to help the situation, but I have no doubt they'd be effective. But she seemed to be implying that if it weren't me.
Satisfaction for you, if I understood correctly, is this Richie can go about his business, and that the Black Widow does not take umbrage and stays out of your affairs.
Yes, that's a very succinct way of putting it. Thank you.
He notes it down to a piece of paper, and again, someone you're pretty sure is likely to be the. I'm pretty sure is that not the granddaughter, about 15, 16 of the mayor? He says, "Do be a dear and put the telegram out. You know who to send it to." And she is away.
Oh, I don't want to keep you too long. If you'd like to share a beverage before I go, I'm always happy to socialize a bit, but I do have to get to a meeting tonight, and
let us catch up, and hopefully it will not be half a century before you come to see me again.
It's so good to remake your acquaintance. I'm sure I'll be stopping by more often. I had forgotten your generosity. So, a guy like me needs some help. It's nice to have a good friend. So yeah, let's chat for a bit. I'm not busy till this evening. I'm sure you have many exploits that, if you're willing to share them, I would enjoy hearing.
Good. Okay. Right. Let's cut across to Richie. How's Richie doing? What's he seeking out?
Richie is trying to think out because he can't get hold of Ruby at the moment, so he can't sound her out about this blacklist.
Ruby's busy.
Yeah.
She might have just received a telegram.
Yeah. So what he's going to do, I think, is he's going to seek out Rose.
Okay.
And he's going to talk to Rose. He's going to fill Rose in on the vision, and ask for some immortal expertise on specters, and fish around for what this blacklist might be while he's at the same time.
We're into a direct scene, so as long as Pearl is happy for that, you can describe where you meet and role play to your heart's content.
So where would Richie find Rose?
I imagine you'd have to call me. I've been socializing with Mr. Nobody, and I think there's time for me to have had, a friendly chat with him before I have to get to my meeting this evening. So if you call me and, say you want to meet up, maybe you can name the place, and I will either agree or suggest something else.
Leave a message with Maggie, and she will suggest would make no sense, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I leave a message with Maggie, and I'll say I'll meet you at the Nighthawk Diner.
All right. It's a bit commanding for someone who owes me 2 debts, but I will take it.
If you are available, of course.
No, I'd be happy to, and I'm a mite peckish, so I might have Mags bring someone around that I can just have a bit of a snack before going in. It's like pre-gaming, really. So I go about 10 minutes beforehand, and just, there's like a nice alley, and we just quietly let someone into the car. I have my snack. So, nice rosy glow to head into the diner, and continued protection. The sun is so very hot these days.
Yeah.
A girl can't really get enough protection. So I've got my sunscreen of sorts, and I'll meet you in the diner.
Well, Richie's sitting there with his 6th refill of coffee, chain-smoking cigarettes, half-touched plate of food next to him. And, he stands up as you come in and goes like, Rose, yeah, take a seat. I'm glad you can make it. You're looking well. You're looking tanned. Getting a lot of sun.
You.
Yeah, getting a lot of sunlight these days, huh?
I mean, as much as I can.
Yeah.
I don't tend to tan, but
no, but it builds up an appetite, right?
It does really, and I've always had such a strong appetite. But I've
Yeah.
never used it on you. So
No.
that should show my fondness. And also why I came. But I do have a meeting tonight, so I'm afraid I can't make this as much of a social call as we might otherwise.
Well, no. I just had a few questions, if you'll indulge.
Of course.
So I was, you know, that kid Lee, right? Real tough guy, hangs out around, you know, kind of a
I'm
street
aware
kid.
of Lee.
Yeah.
Yes.
So me and Lee were outside of the Cairo the other night, and we saw, well, that girl Blanche. You know, the one who
The
went
one
up
who
and
did.
yeah, that girl. Yeah. So I still see Blanche from time to time driving around the neighborhood, and she paid a little visit to us while we were having a little drink of our own.
Did she now?
Yeah, and she mentioned that Lee's name is on the blacklist, and that there are red names on the blacklist, and they're gonna burn us all. And
Burn us all. Are they?
yeah,
Wait. So who has this blacklist?
well, I don't know who has this blacklist for sure, but I hear rumors that Ruby's boss has something that he calls the blacklist, or that they call
Ruby's
the
boss, is it?
blacklist. Yeah.
Um.
Now, I don't know. I know these. I come to you as my wise and beautiful friend.
Well, I'm always happy to help you out. Although I think probably don't know how much I'm already working on that. But we'll have to discuss that at a later time. There's much too much to be done. Quick question, out of character. Do we know who Ruby's boss is? I would think we would not know who Ruby's boss is. She's very secretive.
I think we know that it's Mr. Nobody. I think that's.
Is it officially Mr. Nobody? I know he holds the contract on her soul.
I'm
Is that-
pretty sure that's established.
Okay.
And
Or I wasn't.
if
quite sure.
Caroline feels not, when she comes back into play, we can potentially retcon it. But I think it's pretty well known.
Okay.
I think that's why we call him Mr. Nobody, really, because she doesn't know his name, so she just calls him Mr. Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you think that Mr. Nobody has either has this list or has caused this list to exist?
Now, I guess, yeah. I mean, this whole world of spooks and freaks and, well, I just thought I had real strong feelings about things up until I met you. So I'm needless to say, I'm happy to admit when I'm in over my head, you know. But it's all, yeah. I got reason to believe a very strong, powerful man here in L.A. has told me in good faith that Mr. Nobody has his blacklist, and Lee's a good kid. I don't want anything bad to happen to him.
Well, the problem. Oh bother! I have another mechanical question. I have the Vamp's web, and it's. I can't tell if it's anyone who owes me a debt, or if it's just if they've done the specific things at the top.
Oh yeah, we had that question last time, didn't we? We weren't sure.
Where was
whether
that?
or
Sorry,
not.
which?
It's from my playbook, the Vamp's web.
Oh right, yeah.
Um,
I think it's someone you own.
I mean, I would say I've come to you for advice.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to give you another debt on me, and you get the following things, and you also at next session you can ask a secret about me that I would rather keep buried. You can add me into the web.
I mean, that's a good idea. I will take it. The reason I ask is that if someone is in my web, wait a second. There's something I saw. It's like too many things. I swear I saw a move that was like I could take corruption to not let someone out of my web. When I cash my last debt on someone in the web, mark corruption to keep the debt and keep them in the web.
They definitely owe you a debt. Reading that through. Okay, when someone's in your web, you gain the following with them. +1 non sort of session, choose someone in your web and learn a secret they're about to keep buried.
It's your pull them back in when
Yeah.
you cash in your last debt on someone in your web, mark corruption to keep the debt. So basically, if I got down to if I paid off 3
That's
debts,
fine, yeah.
you could mark corruption to keep that last debt outstanding on me.
Right. Mr. Nobody has presumably just cashed in his, or I've just called on his last debt. So I'm wondering if I can mark corruption to keep him at 1.
Definitely can, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think
So
the question that we had last session though was like, is the web everybody that owes you a debt, or is it the people who come into your like after? Because we started off with the debts for Mr. Nobody and stuff, right? I think that was what we weren't sure about.
So someone comes to you and asks a favor, looking for your advice or info, or threaten your interest, they enter your web and owe you a debt. The idea of the vamp as a power player. So yes, if they don't have to owe you a debt, it's the vamp is a politics player.
No, I just mean as in that like because the Mr. Nobody owed Rose a debt from the start of game.
That's right.
Setup. Would that count as him being in the web?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's what. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it was anybody with the debt.
I'm happy to say that that's fine. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, we're going to say. I will happily say that anyone that Rose has influence with is currently in Rose's web.
Cool.
Okay, so in that case, I would like to pull them back in to mark corruption, but keep him in my web.
That's fine. Mark corruption. Hold on. Sorry, no, that's a corruption move. You haven't got a corruption move.
Oh, bother. All right then.
No,
that was why I wanted to ask that question, because I no longer have leverage with Mr. Nobody.
I've just seen my drama move, and I want to do something.
Yeah.
Which is,
go for it.
I'm going to look over at Rose and I'm going to say, the thing is, Rose, Blanche also showed me another name on that list.
Is that so?
And it was Maggie.
Mags?
Yeah.
Why would anyone want to take out Mags?
I don't know. I just don't know.
Oh, this is troubling indeed.
You would have by the way, if you want to use your intimacy move as a vamp, you're capable of doing that at the moment, I would feel.
Yes.
Maybe to reveal something about Mags.
Yeah, tell them to wrap myself or owe them a debt. Either way, they enter my web and owe me a debt.
Gosh, I'm already 3 depths into you.
I know. I think I'll tell you a secret. So, you know that Mags is my assistant and helps me manage things and whatnot, but I don't know if you know her other very important employment function for me.
I think from what you've told me about why you don't set on fire in the heat wave, and how you keep yourself looking so young, I may have managed to connect those dots.
So, you know, that's generally secret, so I hope you haven't mentioned it to anyone.
I am the very soul of discretion.
Lovely. I've always valued your friendship for many reasons, and that's one. But the reason Mags has come into my employ, as it were, is that somebody wanted to turn her a number of years ago, and she, I'm not actually sure how, had become aware of my condition and asked for my protection. And luckily, the other person of my sort was not anywhere near powerful enough to go up against me. So the agreement we made was that she would remain in my employ as a loyal and discreet, much like herself, manager, but also in exchange for her not being fed upon, would find people for me to feed upon. So it was an exchange, if you will, but nobody really knows about that, and I'd rather it be kept secret because, I mean, like, no, the other vampire, or sorry, public and all that. The other person like me, wasn't able to do what they wanted in spite of my intervening, but typically we don't get in each other's way too much.
I see.
It's considered bad form. So I would rather not get out that's how Mags came to me.
I see.
Luckily, the other person involved, I think, was scared to say anything, so nobody's ever found out. But
so what? You think maybe this other person might have? I mean, you know how these visions work. I'm not saying that her name's on the list, but if that's what the ghost says, then
the reason I'm telling you this is just that, Mags would be very hard to replace.
Yeah, people are.
Yeah, she does me a very special service, and she does it quite well. And it would be hard to find someone else who could do it. And I've just grown fond of her, So,
yeah.
I
understand entirely. Well, yeah. So, like, I don't know where I'm even going to start with this thing. I'm going to have to speak to Ruby, I think, but can't get hold of her at the moment.
How well do you know Ruby?
I mean, she's been doing me, she's been keeping that Black Widow bitch off my back for a while now.
Is she?
Yeah. So,
I see.
yeah.
All right. So, how about you and I'm going to have to leave for my meeting soon, but why don't you let my driver take you home and we'll chat a bit more in the car. I don't think this is quite the place that we should be discussing this, given I have some things that I'd like to mention.
Sure.
All right. So the driver, I think, is just waiting outside like he does wherever I go. I'll take care of the check, and I summon our waiter and just say, put it on my tab, please. Because I have tabs all over town, or at least around the areas, that I would frequent. And unless somebody objects to that being the case, but I'm a Hollywood star, so, Oh, bother. All right. So we get into the car, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll pull the scene down on that and cut across to Lee, back on the waterfront. What's Lee doing?
Yeah, I think Lee is going to try and track down this Fae, and confront him. Let's put it that way.
And muted myself to cough there. Sorry, it takes you into the early evening to find the sun is going down, but it is still incredibly hot. There is neon everywhere. What tells us that this place is full of tourists, noobs, and people looking for darker pleasures.
Sure. So yeah, I think there's loads of people that have those like maps to the Hollywood stars houses and that sort of thing out. And people, quite a few people have got like their cameras out and they're taking pictures of all the sort of neon lights. But just occasionally you'll see someone on there who's like flinches every time a flashbulb goes off, and is trying to keep out of the out of the view of people with cameras.
Sure. So it's as if that when the light actually goes off, that's how you spot him. What might be him, more likely a they, is when the flash goes and there's sort of those flickering stars in people's eyes. He wasn't where he was, and he is where he is, and it's clearly been circling in and around on a young couple who have just stepped enough off the strip looking for the real LA that you can smell talcum powder and lily of the valley strongly in the air, and that comes with something like it's not a pleasant clean smell. It actually is almost like a trap being laid out so they can't smell what is darker and more cruel that is following them.
Sure. I think I'm going to walk up to the to this person, and I think as they're watching this couple, Richie is just Richie, sorry, getting names confused, including myself now. Lee is going to just walk up behind them, put a hand sort of on his, just sort of grip his elbow relatively gently, say, "Well, evening there, handsome. Are you looking for company this evening?"
His head, it doesn't turn. It's there, and then it's there, and it's looking at you, and the angle is off. It tilts just slightly and looks in your eyes and says, "Take your hand off me, you damn dirty dog."
"You keep your hands off my friends, and I'll keep my hand off of you. Now, you can't say fairer than that."
Said, "By friends, you mean the fleas on your back? Or something more specific?"
I mean, the folk up on the strip that you seem to like beating around so much.
I paid for a ride. It's no different from throwing balls to get it through the hoop.
Well, I think you and me may disagree on that fact there, friend. So I'll just say, you stop hurting my friends, and two of us can just go our separate ways. Don't need to share another word again.
He looks at you and says, "Do you know who I am?"
I know what you are. That's enough for me.
He sort of adjusts his straw boater on his head and looks at you and smiles a smile that is just too big for his face. As you've been speaking to him, his eyes have been really penetrating and haven't blinked once. And he smiles. Okay. I'll go back to the ocean and I'll leave your friends alone. Shake on that?
I'll offer my hand.
And you shake hands with a Fae and make an agreement. That's gonna go well. He just sort of starts almost fading away, like there's nothing. It's like you've got flash bulbs gone off in your eyes, and all that's left is its fading away grin and penetrating eyes, which just sort of disappear like light motes in your eyes, fading away.
Fucking fairies.
Calmest wolf ever. So definitely going to see some violence and bloodshed, but no. Cool. Okay. Grand. Is the session naturally drawing towards a close here, or do we want to do one or two more scenes? It's people's feelings. It feels like we've just sort of gone through the major points, but I'm happy to play on for a little bit longer.
So one thing that I would like to do
Mm-hmm.
is I would like to have the opportunity to pay some debts back at some point. I don't know if that's this session, something that can be done this session, or
Whose debts do you want to pay?
I mean anybody's really. It's just it seems, especially with like PC's debts,
Mm.
it's hard to actually put myself in a position where, because it's not a thing I can actively prompt, which I know is how debts work, but I know I can only clear Gregory Peck's debt. I know what he wants. Obi Summers, he holds that one out on me. But like, for example, Lee, maybe this is just a wider thing. Like,
No, I could. It's one of the. Sometimes players are really kind about not pulling debts on each other. I can definitely pull Obi Summers on you to close down for a short scene at the end of the session, which we can pick up next.
Yeah.
I have actually thought of one thing I would like to. I think I would like to catch up with Richie actually, and I think that might clear one of our debts because I'm probably going to ask for something.
Cool.
So I can do that quickly if that's cool now.
Let's do just a number of short vignettes then, cut through to those vignettes.
So yeah, I think Lee is just going to turn up to wherever Richie happens to be at the time, as since last session until the end of the session, he still knows where you are. And Richie, I was wondering if you could help me with a little something.
Jesus, where the hell did you come from, Lee?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Man, you always seem to sniff me out whenever you want, huh? Anyway, yeah. Come on, what can I do for you?
Look, I had a run-in with Faye earlier. This tall fella, handsome looking. They wear a straw boater, smell of lily of the valleys and talcum powder about them. But he's been beaten on some friends of mine.
Right.
Seems a vicious type. And I told him to get out of it, and he agreed that he would go back to the ocean, leave them alone. And he seemed to do that. But you know how these Fae are. I just wouldn't mind if you could, I don't know, if there's anything you can do to find out more about who he is, or
You You have anything of his or anything he's touched?
I'll hold out my hand.
Oh. Well, I never tried that before. Let's see. Let's see. Could I do that? Skim. I could read your surface thoughts. I can study and examine an interesting object. Roll with spirit. No, but what I could do is I could let it out, right? And extend my senses, supernatural or otherwise, because that's nice and broad.
Yeah, that's your general do the power stuff move.
Do the power thing. Okay, I will do the power thing. And let's see how I roll 5 again. Yeah, I literally did roll 5 again. No way. With a +1, that's a 6. And I was wondering if I could use my foretellings hold to give myself a bump onto that to give me a 7. Yeah. Great. So I can finally succeed at 1 dice roll in this session. Perfect.
But do mark a corruption.
Oh yeah. Well, I have to anyways.
That's your champ pass. And extend your senses, supernatural otherwise. So describe that. What does it look and feel like, and what are you trying to achieve?
What I am trying to achieve is a vision of whether or not this Fey creature is going to honor his word to Lee, and maybe even a name for this Fey creature, rather than him just being, and I think the way that looks is that it's it's just as I touch Lee's hand and I'm holding onto his hand and I ask him to start talking about, this guy, and he starts describing him, like beautiful guy and like the smell, and he starts describing it in all of the rich detail that a werewolf could do. And then like Lee almost as Richie's looking at Lee, like Lee starts to turn into the Fae, and I'm it's like Richie's holding the Fae's hand, and it suddenly becomes the Fae talking about himself rather than Lee describing him to me.
Okay, Richie can hear the clatter of his metal shod shoes tapping on old wooden floors. Beyond the smells that Lee has described to Richie, he can also find the smell, which is like old, cold bilge water. Just there, just detectable. They're in a beaten up old flop house, and there on the center of the floor with blood pooling out of them is the dead body, the split throat of Obi. I've got his surname here somewhere, but he looks like he's been thrown. His coat has been cut. You can see these two guys. They are still in ladies' underwears, screaming as the door comes in and the police come through. One of them tries to dive behind the sofa, and there's shots everywhere. And just in the background behind the police, you can see this guy in a straw bow tie with a thick smile, which is just too big for his face.
As I snap back, I go, well, I guess I don't know Obi Summers anymore.
You think this is probably not now and the possible future.
Right,
So
okay.
clear on that.
Cool. Yeah. So, well, I'm not quite sure he's going to hold up his end of the bargain like you might think of it, but he certainly seems like he's going to leave. Well, no, I mean, doesn't look like. Anyways, and I describe the vision, and I say, like, sounds like the two guys who are in that room could be friends of yours. I mean, they fit the type. If you get my drift.
Yeah, well, I suppose that would technically be up on his side of the deal.
Yeah,
And, well,
they're tricky like that, you know? He didn't do it. Those cops did it. He just killed Obi Summers, which, good riddance, right? I mean, the Cairo's a bit of a dump anyways. But,
well, I guess maybe I have to go and have a word with Obi. Perhaps he can shed some light on this whole thing. But thanks, man. That's
yeah, if you do go see Obi, remember who helped you out, and you make sure you tell Obi who helped him out, right? Huh? Yeah, that'd do me a real solidly, honestly. Like, while he's still alive and kicking, it'd be nice to clear two birds with one freaky vision, yeah?
yeah, that sounds like something I can do. Thanks, Richie.
Hey, no problem, man. You got a place to sleep tonight?
I figure I'll probably keep an eye on things tonight. I don't know how much sleep I'm gonna get.
All right. Well, if it ain't too late, come knocking, okay?
Sure thing.
See you later, Lee.
See you now.
Could me and Rose finish off our last bit of the
I
conversation
think
in the
that would
car?
be and we'll pick up with Obi and your debt right at the start of next session. Yeah, let's do that.
So here is Richie in another confined space with an immortal predator.
Predator is such a strong word. Yeah, I like to think of myself as just being a, woman who takes care of her needs. This town's rough. Gotta.
Hey, eat or be eaten.
Indeed. So you were saying about this blacklist
Yeah.
that you had a vision of it that had mags in it?
Well, I had a vision of, I had a vision of Blanche, and she pointed at Lee and she said, "Red names are on a list, and that we were all gonna burn." And I just saw, like, it was like reading, like not even reading the writing or even seeing it, but like as though it was like the memory of having read something once upon a time. I don't know, like you catch a billboard out of the corner of your eye and you know what it says. And I got this flash and I saw Lee's name on there, and I saw Maggie on there, and I saw some other names that I don't even know who those people are. But those two stuck out to me.
Okay. How reliable do visions tend to be? Visions like that.
I mean,
I've helped you interpret some of them before, right?
Rose, you would know better than me. I mean, so far, everything seems to come pretty much true. But when I say true, it's like, looking back.
Well, this sounds like it either would be true or not true. Like it's on the list or it isn't.
Yeah, but for all I know, she's not on the list right now, right? Like maybe she's going to be on the list, because I don't know when any of these things happen. I can be looking at 1,000 years ago versus 2 days from now versus something that isn't going to happen anymore because we did something. And like when I get all the facts, it tends to say that, yeah, this was going to happen until I did this. But half the time it's like, who knows, like maybe if I don't know, maybe if I was better at all this, I'd see more for sure. But I don't even know if Lee's name's on there, right? It could be to be.
Well, I've tried to be kind in helping you interpret your visions, and
And I'm just trying to return the favor. Honestly, I'm
I
just trying to tell
appreciate
you know.
that. Do you have a way of maybe channeling something extra to look into this? To verify a little bit more completely. I have influence with some people, but I'm afraid that I've cashed in on that a bit recently, and
I mean,
I know you want your friend safe, and I want Mag safe, and I'll see what I can do. But if you could give me some more concrete information, I might be able to use a little bit of leverage.
if I had it, I wouldn't be coming to you with. I don't know. I mean, maybe if I could. I never met the guy, but if I met this Mr. Nobody, then maybe I could find out a bit more.
So what you'd like is to meet Mr. Nobody.
Now, like is a very strong word. That's not what I said. But
What exactly are you asking me here?
I asked you because do you know about this blacklist? It seems like it. Mr. Nobody, he's been around a long time, from what I understand, and
He's been around a very long time,
you
and he's
were
not someone to trifle with.
no, and you're what we might call an established personage around town, and
You
the
might
two
say.
of you, from what I gather, have some kind of history, right? And
We do. I just don't know that history is going to be enough for me to. I'm asking you what exactly you would like me to do about this situation. Are you hoping to? So you said you're not really wanting to meet him, or you just wouldn't particularly like it, or are you asking me to
I'm asking
try
you
to find out who's on the list? Are you?
I came
What
to
do you
you
want?
for advice, and I've told you about a threat to your friend and to mine, and I, if you don't know, if you think that taking a chance and like we're on the same team, right? We're gonna try and work this out. We can either do something or we can do nothing. And if you don't want to, that's fine. I understand.
It's not that I don't want to. It's that you have to understand people like Mr. Nobody. You don't just waltz in without any sort of leverage or offering of a gift or whatnot, and just ask him to give up the
Yeah.
secrets of his blacklist, right? So
So I would not. You understand? I would not be asking about the blacklist. I would be using my other means to try and find out some information about the blacklist that none of us seem to have. But there
so
are
if you
other routes, right? I can find. I can hit the streets. I can do
if
whatever it
you
takes.
are you if I were to get you near Mr. Nobody, you would try to get a reading off of him? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean,
I could probably get you to him. It just, it could be an element of
if that's what.
caution
Hey,
would be required. But
I'm going to be honest with you. It's maybe that might be a little bit much for me, but if you insist,
I'm not insisting. I am
I
trying to
mean
suss
me
out.
metagamingly. I am Richie is trying to play this as a
I know.
yeah, but
Doesn't
if
mean he's going to
no,
succeed,
I
though.
know, but if he's not going to succeed, then we can just call it at the end of
No,
it,
you
basically
might
being
succeed.
no, but
Just,
how? Because I don't have
I'm going somewhere with what
yeah,
I'm.
go for it. Because
You're being,
Richie did come for you to advice basically, and he's
you're
he
definitely in my web.
yeah.
But also, I have an idea for where I might send you. But
So are you
you're
cashing
just,
in a debt on me?
no, I'm trying to help you with a problem that you came to.
Yeah, and you have done. You
To
have
me,
done already because I've by even talking to you and getting the idea that Maggie's on this blacklist was all that Richie really wanted out of this conversation, and some advice on visions and so forth, which he's got. And
well,
I was really mostly just trying to work a way of getting all of our characters into a similar state of mind with all the different things going on.
and were you to let me continue, that would be something I would be
Let's go
doing.
for it. Let's go for it then. I just don't want to carry on telling you that coming up with suggestions and things that Richie might want, but he's not really keen on doing.
Right.
So how does Rose carry on with this conversation?
So you're being awfully vague, and if I were not in a good mood, I would eat you. But I do have a meeting to get to and whatnot. So here's what I was thinking. You have some sort of relationship with Ruby, didn't you
Yeah,
mention that?
yeah.
I believe I've heard rumors, at least, but I don't doubt that they're true in this case, given the person involved, that Ruby perhaps has some leverage with Mr. Nobody,
Yeah.
and that perhaps the three of us could get together and see if we could come up collectively with a good idea for how to handle the situation.
Okay, I don't find that the best way to win cards is to play with an open hand, but okay.
Well, you know her better than I do. Do you think
Yeah.
that's a bad idea?
I think Ruby owes Mr. Nobody slightly more. I don't know. Well, I would need to sound Ruby out a little bit before I'd be comfortable telling her about wanting to rip a boss off.
Okay. Well, why don't you think on that while I go to my meeting and get back in touch?
Sure. Meeting anyone nice?
Meeting anyone nice? It's none of your concern right now. Don't worry
Okay.
about it. Just get in touch. And when you come to me for advice next time, in case I'm not in a good mood, you might want to be a bit more immediately forthcoming about exactly what you want. Because I really don't have much spare time.
Okay, Rose. And with that, I am going to use my skim the surface move
Okay.
on Rose as I leave the car.
Oh, I
God
don't
hope I
remember
would.
what that is.
Yay! I get a 7. So I can ask one thing,
All right.
which is... Oh man, all the questions are so great in this game. Like, I so want to ask what is Rose's hidden pain. Because that's just like, I want to know what Rose's hidden pain is. But I think what I want to know is, why are you keeping secrets? That's the question.
Am I keeping secrets? I suppose. I mean, about my meeting tonight, I'm keeping that secret. I think that I'm
Perhaps the
keeping the
question would even be,
secret.
what is your character thinking about right now? If I did that right at the moment when I asked you who you meet, like, you meeting anyone nice?
Well, I'd be thinking about the vampires that evening, and that nice
Yeah.
isn't really what we're known for.
Yeah.
But you'd probably get more. Just, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know that I should be revealing this, but you'd probably get more useful information from one of the other questions. I have to remember what they are on your thing.
What is your character thinking about right now? Who are you protecting? Why are you keeping secrets? And what is your character's hidden pain?
So yeah, I would say. Which one did you just ask me? You asked about, but you asked like sort of specifically about the thing.
Yeah, I
Because I
suppose I
would
did.
say,
Yeah.
so yeah, if you ask me one of those more general questions, I will give you information that will be more useful to you.
Okay. So would that be the why are you keeping secrets, or the who are you protecting? I never know with PBTA games. Like,
I'm gonna say you should ask why I'm keeping secrets.
yeah, why are you keeping secrets then?
Because usually when Richie comes to me, he is very sort of just open and straightforth about things. Wants to know what I think about a vision or whatever else, and I feel like he's being shady.
Oh no, but I was very open about everything. Why would you even think I was shady? I didn't do anything that was shady. I came to you with a vision about everything, and I told you everything I saw. And all that happened was I added a bit of detail that wasn't in the vision.
It felt to me like your tone and your reluctance to give me really what you wanted out of that interaction was shady. That is the truth of my character. Like,
okay, I don't think I understand
did
what
you
was
not
shady
feel like
about my. I know that what was shady was that out of character, I am consciously using my corruption move of giving a false prophecy to give you a reason to give a shit about Lee or anything. But
that is not what I'm. Oh, father.
but okay, no, I mean fair
Not
enough.
what
I get
I'm
that.
It's more that I kept being like, what exactly are you? It felt like you were coming to me not just for like sort of general advice, but because you wanted me to do something or help you with the blacklist, but weren't.
Oh, I wanted information. Like I just wanted to know stuff, which is what I said in the I wanted what I said in the conversation. I wanted to know about this crazy world of supernatural stuff that Rose clearly knows a lot about, and Richie knows very little. Like the blacklist. What is the blacklist? Have you heard of the blacklist?
Right.
No.
I hadn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
I think just I kept being like, do you want to do this? And you were like, no. And I think if you had just said like, honestly, all I was looking for was information on the blacklist, and I was wondering if you'd heard anything,
I
I
did
wouldn't
say
have
that
gotten
though.
it.
I did say that. I just then
All
I
right.
said that I've got to stop. I threw in the Maggie thing to try and hook you
Right,
into
I'm
wanting to protect it. But okay,
We
it's
don't
fine.
need
Let's
to
just.
I'm going
argue
to
it.
pause
Okay.
that, folks. If we want
I'll
to
see
go
then.
through the interaction, if there's any clarity there, let's deal with it either in cooldown or chat at the end of the game. Just in case, because this can be relatively PvP-ish, play v player. Sometimes
No, I know. Yeah, entirely.
it can people's motivations and the mechanics can get a little bit in the way sometimes until people get used to them. So let's just pause there and draw the scene down on tonight's game. I'm happy to pick anything up in chat or offline if anyone wants to go through anything that they want clarification on. Okay, so session end. Did if you learned something meaningful about a faction, increase your score in that faction by 1 and decrease your score in a different faction by 1. So, David, did Lee find out a lot about one of the factions that might change his view of something tonight?
It's a good question. I don't feel like he learned anything that really changed his opinion on any one faction. I don't think. I think he possibly learned a bit more about a couple of the factions, but yeah, I don't think anything particularly changed his perspective on them. Put it that way.
Okay. Did you do a favor for anyone at a cost?
No, I don't think so. Or at least not that wasn't already. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Rose, did you learn something meaningful about one of the other factions? You want to increase your faction by 1. If you do that, you decrease one of the other factions.
Which faction is Mr. Nobody in again?
Wild.
I feel like learning about this blacklist probably. So I'm gonna go up 1 on Wild, and then take down 1 on Mortality.
Cool.
Okay.
Great. Okie dokie. You really should have marked Wild for you significantly interacted
Oh, I did.
You actually spent a debt on Wild, so that means you've closed off all 4 and take an advancement as well.
All right, and then I delete all the marks, right?
Yeah.
Start over. Okay. Can I think about my advancement
Yes, you
between
can.
now and next session? Okay.
Lee, sorry, Richie, even same question for you. As your opinion on any of the factions changed?
Yeah, I guess Power has invited me into their web, so I would raise that to a 2. And I feel like I'm getting further away from mortality because all I'm ever speaking to are like weirdos like myself. So yeah.
Cool. Good. Right. And did you do a favor for anyone at great cost that you think a debt should have been owed?
Just the stuff we did, I think, for me.
Yeah, I think if as long as David picks up with going to see OB at the start of the next game, then we'll burn off that debt that you have with OB as well. Good. Okay. Stars and wishes then. Same order just went in. David, do you have any stars?
Yeah, stars for everyone. I think as usual, but yeah, I really like. Well, I mean, it's similar but different for both Pearl and Will. I really like the way you're characterizing your respective characters. They both feel very noir appropriate and but also like human as inappropriate a term as that may be. Yeah, no, so that's really cool. And David, just the yes, some really interesting NPCs out there. There's some really nice little scenes, and I think it did well, like because we were going into such like diverse places and stuff this time, and I think it kind of it was good. I think you dealt with that well, so that's cool. So yeah, thank you.
Cool. I thought I was going to pull people together earlier, but there seems to be a superpower of this game where people can go off in their own way. Which isn't a bad thing, but it's just a thing. Will, any stars?
I'm loving Rose's backstory with every single supernatural power in this city, and how it just everybody just seems to have been caught in her web at some point in the past, or she's in other people's webs. And I'm very much enjoying seeing more of Lee's territory and the people involved, and that whole scene. It feels more like, like the city feels more, like it's sort of getting more and more populated. But I like seeing this kind of like vulnerable subculture as well, which we've been talking about outside of the game. But it's nice to see it now in the game.
Cool, brilliant, lovely. Pearl, any stars?
Oh, I didn't realize I wasn't muted already. All right. Yeah, I'm really interested also in the sort of subcultures and things, and I'm glad that that's being explored. I want to start David's accent, which I enjoyed a great deal, and also the tenacity with which Will is attempting to clear his debts that he so embraced at the beginning, and I liked the things that I needed to do, right? The Black Widow situation, like, put me in quite the bind, and causing me then to go. I mean, it was my choice, but the Mr. Nobody asking about the details of his home, like, I feel like you painted some scenes for me that were unsettling, very effectively. So I appreciate that. I think those are my stars.
Sweet. I think I'm enjoying various level of monstrosity of different characters. I'm getting this vague feeling that Richie might be the worst of all of them. At least in the moral code of things, I was delightfully amused that the werewolf just gave the guy a stiff talking to. Maybe that'll come back and bite him or bite someone else. And yeah, that was very interesting. Wishes. Let's go reverse order. Paul, have you got any wishes?
Just like I say, just because I'm going to incur more and more debts because I'm actively trying to do things that I have very little power over. So everything I do is going to incur a debt as I go forward. So it'd be nice to, like I say, I need opportunities to pay off debts and do things.
I will put that as an ask on me for next time to try and push people that should be paying a debt or accruing a debt in a way that it's something that's so critically important to the game, but many often role players when they get into form are not thinking in that way. But it is a mechanic of the game. But I will try and remind people of that next session and put you in a position where you can pay more debts off or accrue more debts to you.
I already accrued 2 this session, and
Hooray.
I had to really fight to pay off one of them, right? So yeah.
Milo, hush.
Pearl, wishes?
I would Milo, be quiet. Sorry, my dog is a grumbler. I would like to at some point have a proper scene with Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually not opposed at all to Richie clearing one of his debts, or even getting one on me. I think it could be interesting. I just want to play my character the way that it feels like she would act, but I'm feeling willing to just give Milo, if you don't stop grumbling, willing to give in on that last one for the sake of the narrative, if we'd like. But I guess I would like to figure out how to better handle situations like that, where like I get very I support I don't know what the word is, but about my characters doing what I really feel like they would do.
Yeah, okay.
So if I can get help figuring out a way to do that without being a blockade to other players, that's not my intention.
Sure. I should have probably I should have paused the game and trying to get your intention inside of both players. So I'm running with a cold tonight and my brain isn't quite on. So we should have paused that and look at it. But that's fine. I again will be clearer on that from an MC point of view in future.
Yeah, I apologize, Richie, if I seemed like I was contentious.
No, it's fine. It was just more a case of like, it's fine if we don't have a productive conversation and I just leave, because I did just come through. But it's a game where, like, as far as I can see, the rules are all about manipulating and pulling other people, which is like you operate with that sort of imbalance of knowledge and agency for the characters, whereas like obviously Rose is by far way more powerful and way more savvy and way more canny than Richie is. So like, yeah.
I mean, I think for the record, she believes that it's at least possible that Mags is on this list, and is worried. She just thinks you might be hiding other things, like further information or something, because she felt like you were being evasive. But it wasn't that. She just doesn't believe you. So,
to be quite honest, the fact that you provide that information, even though it was false, would be a claim that you could pay, to take one of the debts that you owe.
That's what I mean. I mean, it's not like it's not nice behavior, but it's like not immoral.
This isn't a nice game.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm less attached to the debt than to my changing what I'm saying my character's thinking, because I think that's what she was thinking. But you can still take the debt off.
Yeah,
she's just a bit suspicious about you. That's all.
Maybe it would be a good thing, like when we have these these interactions where, like, as players and like as characters, we're trying to pull those strings and manipulate other characters into doing. We could do the kind of like, here is the meta level of the conversation, and then we won't get caught up in between like trying to slip that meta into the conversation, which I think is where that sort of ambiguity arrived, because it was like sounding each other, because as players were sounding each other out versus like,
you can always do that in the session end move. That's if you believe it hasn't been caught in play. So rather than the mechanics stopping good role play, make a note and we can deal with it in the session end as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a hard day for me, and it may be just that I'm struggling a bit.
No,
today.
it's where the mechanics sometimes in this game and some other Power Box games can sometimes to deal with the mechanic, you slow down the role play, which we don't want to happen. But there is an option in the session end move to say, hey, because of what I did, I believe I paid off one of the debts to Rose. It's perfectly fine. Okay, so we'll handle it that way. So we don't end up losing any momentum in good scenes, because it was a good scene. As well as the mechanic tried to derail it a little bit. David, wish from you just to close down.
Yeah, no, I think it would be nice to to have some scenes with some of the other characters. I think that's as Paz, I think that would be nice. I'd like to have a scene with her and probably one with Ruby as well at some point. Yeah, I think that's probably the thing I most want to aim towards doing. Other than that, see what comes up.
The clocks should be trying to push it together if I've designed them correctly, but also do lean into other characters and scenes and take the opportunity to say, hey, I think my character should be in that scene as well. Okay, but happy to do that. But I think that's an open wish for the table and not just for me to sort. It's think about how your characters can come together. Good. Right. Other than that, folks, I hope you have enjoyed your evening. Happy birthday, Pearl. Hope you enjoy the rest
Happy birthday.
your evening and or day or morning. But other than that, folks, it's been lovely playing with you again, and I'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you later.
All
Take
right.
care.
can I give us